This speaker this week is Deb from the ARC Wisconsin. So take it away, Deb.
Thanks, Sydney. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Oops. Gotta move things around a little bit.
That looks good.
Good.
Looks great.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Deb Sybell. I'm the state director for the ARC Wisconsin. I've met many of you through different conferences and presentations. So I hope today to share with you a little bit more about what the ARC Wisconsin is and what the ARC Wisconsin does, and opportunities for you to participate in some fun things that we have coming up with the new year. So we'll get things started with just a little bit about me and my role with the ARC Wisconsin as state director. As we kick off the 2023-2024 legislative session here in Wisconsin, a lot of my time in the next 6 months will be devoted to lobbying, particularly around the state budget and the legislature deciding what kind of resources to allocate to different agencies and programs, and there will be a role for all of you as self-advocates to share your stories and experiences in advocating for additional resources for the programs that you value. One of my big priorities as a newer state director is to grow our organization at the grassroots local level with our 14 local chapters, and hopefully building more chapters and connecting with like organizations that share our values in the community, so we can grow the disability movement, but also draw in more people, either whether you want to call them a member or a friend, people that are family members of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, allies. Many times we meet some of these folks at conferences, but we don't always connect with them and get their email addresses, so we can continue to have conversations via email and also through social media, and have an ongoing dialogue about the issues that are important to us, to be more intentional about drawing people in and our communication resources so we can build the disability movement. And the ARC Wisconsin is a nonprofit organization. So as with anyone who leads a nonprofit organization, fundraising is always a key part of that position. And we hope to have additional resources to bring in, so we can do the really cool things that we would love to do in the year, and have the capacity to do, and draw in more self-advocates in those programs. And we'll talk more about those in a little bit. And again, program manager, a lot of the funding that we're applying for through the ARC Wisconsin would generate new programs and initiatives. And that would give us the financial capacity to do some of those really cool things that we'll talk about in a bit. And just some personal information about me. Since in my whole professional career has been devoted to social justice issues, whether it's civil legal services or public defender services through the State Bar of Wisconsin, which I lobbied for. and also providing additional resources for special education as a lobbyist for the teachers union. I've worked on healthcare issues, and now with the state director of the Arc Wisconsin, working on issues that are important to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So this continuation of my journey as a passionate advocate for social justice issues. Anyone that knows me knows I'm really passionate about dogs as well. Sydney and I can bond on that and her love of animals. Or anyone that has dogs, just what wonderful companions they are and accepting and loving of us. I do have 2 rescue dogs. Murphy, he's a little black miniature schnauzer. They found him on the streets of Milwaukee. He was abandoned and had a lot of issues. He's obsessed with people's feet. So we think at one time he might have been kicked. But through loving and caring for him and training, he's come a long way. Molly, she's our, you'll see a picture of her later. She's our golden doodle, and she gets along with everyone. When we go to the park, she walks up to everyone and sits down and expects everyone to pet her. Spock is our most recent rescue. He is like 20 different breeds of dogs, very unique. He was named Spock. He came with the name after Star Trek because he's got big ears. So those are my 3 dogs. Things that inspire me. I love new ideas, innovation, creativity, new ways of approaching things. And that'll come through in some of the projects that we hope to take on over the course of this next year. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but I did live in Minnesota in the Twin Cities for 3 years when I went to law school there. And I did spend 3 years in Texas working for the state legislature there, which Texas is, it really has a lot of state pride, and it's a very unique state comparatively to the Midwest. So we could always talk more about that later. And Sydney, if you would be so gracious, it was immediately apparent to me coming into this position that Sydney has such incredible social media skills as well as other skill sets. And she introduced herself to me, I think probably like a month into this position. And again, through the wonder of foundation and grant funding, we were able to bring her aboard to the ARC Wisconsin. She's made such a difference. And Sydney, would you be willing to talk a little bit about your role with the ARC Wisconsin and some of the things you're working on for us?
Sure. So when I started working for the ARC Wisconsin, I created a Facebook group called Pass the Mic with Self Advocates. It's a way to teach advocates how to tell their story and meet other self advocates and learn. Some of what I do is I manage the ARC Wisconsin's Facebook page with Deb. I also run Wisconsin Disability Connections, which is a bigger group, but it has more family members than like Pass the Mic with Self Advocates. I'm a big advocate. Well, everyone here kind of knows that, but I try to teach other people how to be advocates too, if they're just starting out in the advocacy field, and educator, because there are a lot of people who don't really know how to approach people with disabilities and certain phrases and how to talk to them. And so that's a big thing. Like, I learned that at the National Art Conference, the educator piece is a big part of my role. Am I missing anything, Deb?
Nope. Did you want to share anything personal about yourself? I think a lot of people know you with your chickens and your pictures of your chickens, but anything else on a personal note you wanted to highlight?
I don't know. Yeah, most everyone knows about the chickens and the dogs and the cats. Bailey's sleeping, so she won't be joining me today. Um, but
How's your puppy that had surgery?
Oh,
um,
yeah.
she's doing pretty well. She's trying to rest, which is she wants to play.
Aw.
So
Does she have one of those cones for her
yeah,
head?
yeah,
Yeah,
because she can't lick her surgery area. So
yeah. Well, that is, a little bit about the ARC Wisconsin uh, and the state team. Of course, we have 14 chapters across the state. We'd love to have more in which are locally governed with their own directors and their own boards. So I wanted to highlight 3 things that the ARC Wisconsin maybe makes it unique, or things that we're working on. As Sydney mentioned, advocacy is a big one. And part of our mission statement, consistent with the ARC National, is we advocate for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So you can live, work, and play in communities of your choosing. One of the more unique things as an organization that advocates for people with disabilities is our presence at all 3 levels. The local level, as I mentioned, our chapters, and we introduce you to our state organization, but also, as Sydney was talking about, the national convention. We are underneath the ARC of the United States, which also provides us with some assistance and puts out action alerts around issues at the federal level that we're engaged in. So we, unlike a lot of organizations that might just be present at the state level or just active at the local level, we cover the whole state. And also have that presence at the national level of issues of importance. So over the course, you probably have received some action alerts from as Congress was closing things out and getting ready for January and addressing budget issues in the end of the year wrap-up package. And we'll still be highlighting issues at the national level too, but you also start getting action alerts, since the state legislature is going to get sworn in this month following the election. You're going to see more opportunities to share your stories and influence state legislators about funding around programs you care about. Empowerment, I'm all about, and I'm all about bringing in money so we can provide additional opportunities for individuals, self-advocates to be instrumental part of the movement, hopefully get paid. And so we'll continue along that path to create opportunities for more individuals to take a more active role in the organization. Part of my partnership with Sydney is building the leaders of tomorrow. Storytelling has a big part of that as we build skill sets and make connections in our community and with our legislators. As we talk about advocacy in the upcoming state budget, special education is one big focus area. As you might know, the state funds only 30%, less than a third of special education costs for our K through 12 system. So when the state doesn't fully fund a program like special education, then local school districts have to figure out a way to cover those costs, and that's oftentimes dipping into different funding resources, which ultimately shortchanges all the kids in our K through 12 system. It's been an ongoing issue. State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Dr. Underly, has consistently expressed and proposed additional funding for special education. And our reelected Governor Evers, especially as a former educator and superintendent of public instruction, has always prioritized public education and special education, providing additional funding. So in his Governor Evers state budget proposal, which he will be announcing February 15th, so stay tuned for that, additional resources to get us closer to 100% of special education funding. And then it'll be up to the state legislature to whether they'll agree with that or reject that or provide some other level of funding for special education. Of course, one of the big challenges, both at the state level and at the national level, is funding for home and community-based services for people with disabilities to live in the communities of their choosing and have the supports that are needed so you can live your best life and most independent life. So funding for programs like IRIS and family care will be a big focus of the state budget as well, and advocating for those resources. And when those programs are underfunded, we find ourselves in a situation which is not unique to Wisconsin, but nationally as well, as the direct caregiver workforce crisis. And how do we have people living in the community without the supports that they need, individuals that are so important in our lives, if we don't pay them a living wage that they can support their families, when we have Target and Walmart and McDonald's paying more for those jobs than what direct support professionals can earn, given the important work that they do. Other strategies that have been brought up to address this crisis are providing, and they're not exclusive to each other. It's a combination package of providing professional development so they can be best prepared for the very critical jobs they do, a career path. So as they acquire additional skill sets, they can rise up in their profession like we would all strive for. Technology is a part of the considerations for when we have a shortage. Are there technology solutions that we can deploy in addition to trying to bolster the workforce so we can serve the most individuals and meet their needs in the community? Like I had mentioned before, the ARC Wisconsin is unique in that it has the presence at the state, the national, and local level. So there are opportunities at the community level to, especially with so many new state legislators being sworn in that don't nearly have the expertise that you do, especially through your lived experience of the issues that are important to you. It's a real critical time, especially if you have a new legislator, to reach out and make introductions and set yourself up as an expert on all the issues that are important to you. Always seeing is kind of believing. So really, if you can generate an experience for a legislator to come visit, to see something, to experience something, to, walk in your shoes, so to speak, that is really the picture and the images that will stick with that legislator, the shared experience, can really be critical as they decide on these funding issues in the upcoming state budget. So that community having that presence at the yes.
This family, I didn't mean to cut you off. When you're done, I have a question.
Okay, Ramsey. Yeah, I think the way Sydney had explained it to me, we'll just try to get through the slides and maybe folks can save your questions, and then, you know, we have a small group today, so we should have plenty of time that we can go around and have some conversation. How does that sound, Ramsey?
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, so everyone save your questions. I love the questions. We'll have some group chat after this. But those community connections, going back to are really important, and if folks need help about setting up those conversations or connecting with your legislators, of course, you know, there's Advocacy Day at the Capitol, which is of value, but it is I think so important to have those connections in the community with your legislators beyond just the one day at the Capitol. And if any of you are going out to DC, we can always connect you with your federal legislators as well in Congress. So important to have those relationships and conversations, and sharing your lived experience is so important for advocacy. Empowerment, yes, let's grow the disability movement. Like I said, I think we need to be, in my opinion, like more intentional when we connect with people. And one, especially for a smaller organization, one way we can really have an impact is through our emails and social media, just initially to reach out and reach the most people. So being intentional in asking for people's contact information, where hopefully we're providing them with great information and stories and resources that they find of value, is so important. Oftentimes we have a great conversation with someone who's really giving us a wonderful story that we could share, and we forget to ask for their business card or their email address, or what's a phone number, what's the best way to contact you, can we get you in on our newsletter list or our action alerts. It's just one of those things that, you know, we all kind of forget to do. We get caught up in those conversations, or we're at a conference, or we see a really great speaker that had a great perspective and talking about something maybe we could model in our communities or in Wisconsin, and we don't get those contacts and be systematic in sharing that with the state, so we can add them to our lists, and at the local level as well. So I hope through some of the trainings we do, and the offerings for even our locals to become more savvy in engaging the community and community leaders, we can grow the organization. I have the picture of the dandelion there because, you know, you blow the dandelion and it seeds new dandelions. Oftentimes you'll hear the imagery of, you know, tossing a stone into a pool of water and the ripple effect it has. So that one stone or that one person connecting with the people and programs that they have natural connections with can so easily multiply our movement if we're very focused and intentional about it. And over the course of the next year, we have some great programs that we will be recruiting for people to partake in. And some of these will be things we're doing for the first time. So the first group that goes through that we're trying to impart some knowledge and an enhanced experience and skill sets with you. We, as much as people that are offering the programs, want to learn from you and improve it as we go along. So one of those things, if you were at the self-determination conference this year, coincidentally, we were already on the track of, as a state organization, about storytelling. And then it was the theme for the conference, which was wonderful. And in 2023, you're going to just be hearing so much about storytelling. We're all storytellers, just naturally, we're storytellers, but there's a way to tell a story that's very compelling and memorable. And once you develop that skill set, it can be so helpful in so many different ways, with advocacy, in a job interview, making social connections, building relationships in the community. It's like the seed that will generate so much more if we can hone in with self-advocates and our allies and those that share our values in the community. If we can really master that storytelling of lived experience, which you are all experts on, the lived experience, if we can help guide you in developing those stories in a very compelling way, it can be so impactful. Just that simple act of storytelling on having success in moving the needle on things that are important to us in the advocacy world. And this is my beautiful.
Hang on.
Someone's getting a call. Here's my beautiful dog, Molly, that walks up to everyone at the park and expects attention. But your story can generate attention. And you'll see a lot more Your Story Matters coming up. This is kind of the tagline we're rolling with. And there are a number of different opportunities to tell your story. As I've said, just honing in on this one skill set, and it can take you to a whole new level of advocacy. And that's why we want to provide some training around that and opportunities for you to share your story, to highlight you on our website and get out the stories of your lived experience. And you'd be amazed at how much those stories can really make change happen. I love this picture, the color. I kind of see, like, if you're just providing a bunch of data and statistics, which can be helpful as well, but it's kind of a bland black and white kind of picture. But if you add in the storytelling, to me, it just generates all, if you want to say colors, like, it just pops, and people remember stories. They might not remember all the data, but you can use stories to supplement the data that you provide. And really, storytelling is an art. If you've ever been listening to someone who is telling a story about their weekend and something that happened, there's almost like a formula to it to make it the most engaging. Or if you've been at a holiday gathering this weekend, maybe Uncle Bill is going on and on and on and not really hitting a point, and everyone's like, oh, I wish I had a turn to talk. So telling a really story, setting the stage and building up to a moment, and then how everything plays itself out, and being succinct in that is really a great advocacy tool. So we will be rolling out a series of storytelling trainings that I hope you will be interested in and partake in. we'll have an initial class, so to speak, and that'll be, like I said, a way for us to impart knowledge, but also learn from you and how we can improve it. And then we could roll out storytelling for advocacy, storytelling for employment opportunities, storytelling for social connection. And it could be so magical in so many areas of your lives. And this is something I shared recently on social media. You know, it's not always our words. Sometimes the picture can tell an entire story. And this we got a lot of thumbs up on. And the picture, it just in so many ways tells the story, and you can all read the little caption they put on there. But this, I still think about it almost every day, because I was so personally moved on it, and people were liking it or giving it a heart or something, because it was just so relatable and really authentic and captured a moment in time. And this could be parlayed into an advocacy, a story to boost funding for the programs we care about and why they're so important. So I just share this with you. You know, storytelling are images, it could be words. So there are many opportunities to express your lived experience in different ways. And we hope to capture that and have a learning experience, a fun experience on the art of storytelling, these trainings that we will be rolling out in the next month or two. And we will have a dedicated web page on our website, as we'll be collecting these stories. We're working with the ARC National to have a dedicated web page where hopefully we'll have written stories, we'll have picture kind of stories, we'll have video stories, and really have the broader community get to know your lived experience and what you are all about, and making an impact on advocacy. We hope to have that dedicated web page by February. We're kind of dependent on the ARC National schedule for that, so stay tuned for that. I look at our website, and we'll have to do a holistic review of it, but we have a lot of really old pictures on there. And partnering with Sydney and I, we're really interested in populating our website with some more recent pictures of all of you and your lives. And if you're interested in that, get in touch with Sydney or I. Sydney is really great at taking pictures too, as we all know, because we see what she posts on social media. So there might be opportunities either on Advocacy Day for Sydney to take a bunch of pictures. You might have pictures already that you could share with us that we could share on our website. Some of you might be approached about wearing these t-shirts, Your Story Matters, to promote the tagline and populate our dedicated webpage, which hopefully will be coming in February. So let's all work together and make a difference in everyone's lives. I have our contact information here with myself and Sydney, and that's all of the prepared remarks I have for you today. So Sydney, what's next?
We'll see if anyone has any questions.
Yes.
Zoom
Ma'am?
decided to not show my video feed, so there's that. Well, let me turn my camera back on.
Okay.
I believe Ramsey had a question, but he's not on right now. So if anyone else
Okay.
has any questions.
And Nathaniel's here. Hey, Nathaniel.
Oh, hello.
Did you
Hello.
want to talk about, Nathaniel's my partner in really the leader. He's leading the storytelling if you call it workshops or trainings, and has been looking at YouTube videos and everything. So hopefully those of you that will be joining us for that learning experience will be a lot of fun. But I want to turn it over to Nathaniel so he can, if I'm sorry, I didn't prep you for this,
It's
but
okay.
if
Okay.
you want
No worries. No
you have
worries.
a different background now. What's going on there?
What's going on? I got a new electronic desk.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Is
so
that was that a holiday thing or just
yeah, holiday thing.
nice?
So I took a lot of time straightening up everything. So the storytelling classes are going to be directed towards like one thing you're interested in, one thing that you can build on in the employment world, in the education world, in the professional or personal world of yours. And we're going to take the ingredients and formulate and show you how to make your own story become reality. That's what the classes are supposed to be about.
And then we hope to have like a round 2, right, where we take it to the next level. So these will be like the building blocks, and then we'll be trying out our new skill sets.
Yes.
And thank you, Nathaniel. He really stepped up. And he too was one of the first people to contact. I think he was the very first person to contact me when I came onto this position. And he's become a really wonderful friend and colleague and offers so many talents. And so I value and appreciate your contributions, Nathaniel, and I'm really excited about the classes coming up.
Thank you. And we're going to have more information. Deb and I are actually going to meet on Friday to get everything completed, and then we'll have some information coming out. So I think that's the more proper way, right, Deb?
Yes, coming soon. See, we're
Coming
building it up. It's like a story. Everyone's just waiting. What
Yes,
could that
coming
be,
soon.
right?
Yeah, coming soon.
Yeah.
So, alrighty, thank you.
Thank you, Nathaniel. So any other questions, Miss Sydney? Are you on camera again, or are you still, I see your cute cat there?
Yeah. No, it won't. And I think the only way I would get it back is if I exited the meeting and came back, which
Oh, we don't want that, no. So any other questions, or how would you like to proceed, Sydney?
Julie, do you have any questions? But I can also get in touch with Ramsey and see if what his questions are too.
Yeah.
Or Larry, do you have any questions?
Maybe one. I'm just running through my head for my thoughts.
Sure. And we have our contact information there on, or Sydney can share it out too. So if you want to think things over a little bit and send an email our way, that we can always respond to the emails as well as you think about things.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Sydney, we could wrap things up if you wanted to, and people could email if they have questions or.
Sure. That sounds like
I know we're getting close to the lunch hour, and I have my dog coworkers who will start making noise pretty soon.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah.